Hey everybody, I'm Darren. Today I'm going to do an update of this Fuji Cherry pre-bonsai piece of random material that I started a good couple of years ago now. Yesterday I put out a poll asking which particular tree you'd like an update from, and at the time of filming at least, the winner was the Fuji Cherry that I attempted a wedge chop on. Here it is. As you can see, it's grown quite a lot. I've just left it to its own devices really. So I'm just going to clear up this area, give you a recap of what was done, cringe, and then I'll show you what's happened, and then we'll make a plan moving forward. Just going to cut back some dead branches that we've got down here. Just to remind you, the plan was, because of the inverse taper we've got here where these two primary sort of structures come from, we've got a big old piece of inverse taper here. Wouldn't have been very attractive in my opinion at the time, maybe. So I decided I was going to cut back to this branch here. In typical Gro Bonsai fashion, I thought I'd get all clever and attempt a wedge cut to try and get a head start on healing the chop. I'm always curious to learn new things, so when I came across the technique, I was, dead keen to give it a try. In my haste and my inexperience, I actually got the technique horribly wrong. I took the wedge from this side, opposite what I was cutting back to. We've got really good healing above the chop, but that's not the bit that we're interested in. I was looking to get enhanced healing below the chop, and it has done none of that. It hasn't healed at all, and the reason is I should have done it this side, on the side of the branch that I was cutting back to, because that piece, that's the critical piece that would continue to push sap past the bottom part of the wedge and drive the healing from there. And in hindsight, I'm not really sure if it was actually totally necessary. I found that the Fuji Cherry now actually, if you really let it go, it heals pretty well actually. I need to find a way forward now. So I think the first option is just to complete the chop, chalk it up to experience, and get on with developing the tree from the side branch. The second option is to put air layers on each one of these kind of sub trunks, because I just can't get past this inverse taper. I could air layer here, but I don't know, we're still going to have inverse taper. I could cut off one of these sub trunks and have a bit of movement, but that's going to be a big old wound. I'm not averse to wounds and doing a bit of carving in deadwood, but if we air layer here, that big wound's going to be really close to the soil. Yeah, I'm not going to air layer here. I could put some air layers further up and create sort of 2 or 3 smaller trees, and then once those air layers are done, separate them and then chop back to this bit. Or I could do an air layer at this section and create a twin trunk. Doing the air layer down here first means that I can get on with developing the base into a nice shohin tree. There is a disadvantage with that though. This branch here is going to be smack bang in the way. Right, I don't really want to lose that branch. That's probably a good 2 or 3 years worth of growing. I don't want to cut it off to make way for an air layer. And to be honest, coming out the ground at an angle like this isn't particularly attractive. I think it's better if it's more like, much more acute. I'm happy to forget the idea of making a twin trunk at this junction. I don't want to sacrifice this branch. I think this branch, could save us a couple of years. So I'm going to create 2 air layers somewhere around here on the sub trunks. I think that's going to be the better idea. To make it a little bit easier for me to maneuver, I'm going to pull some of these branches down and out of the way, just temporarily while I fix this, while I fix the air layer in place. And then I'm just going to clean off a couple of these shoots. Right, let me just make some more space so that I can actually see what's going on. Just going to drive the shears in and then walk it back out. And then the same from the other side. And then about a finger thickness below. And then the same the other side, making sure all the cuts line up. And then make a vertical slice. Then with a scraper, I'm going to come along and just ensure that we've got all the cambium just a scrape to reveal that really nice white inner sapwood. There you go, can you see the difference in colour there? If we leave any cambium behind, it's got a much better chance of bridging the gap, and then we won't get roots form. So scrape, scrape, scrape it away. I'm doing my best not to damage the upper section, but we will come back and sort that out in a moment. And then for the air layer on this trunk, we'll do a similar thing. Might have a twin trunk or a mother-daughter type effect going on here in the future. So I'll sort of do the air layer somewhere roughly around here. I'll make the cut a little bit lower than where I'd ultimately like it. I think there initially is good. Just going to walk that back. And then the same on the reverse at exactly the same level if possible. Lovely. And then down below. And then make a vertical slice. And then hopefully, yep, there we go. Et voila. That's the section of material we removed. How cool is that? And this one's peeling away, look. The bark's peeled off on this one. So cool. And it's the same procedure as we've just done on the other trunk. Scrape any remaining cambium so that green hue is nice and white. Now with a razor sharp knife, I'm going to come along the top edge and just really create the sharpest, cleanest cut that I possibly can. The cleaner the cut through that cambium, the more chance we've got of roots developing. If we can get a nice clean cut along all 360 degrees, we've got a much better chance of a 360 degree radial root spread. Now I'll do the same for this trunk. Just not quite happy with that bit there. So I'll come and recut that. Try and get a cleaner interface. There we go, that's better. For the next step, I'm going to put some rooting hormone gel along the top edges. And I literally paint it on, making sure to get it up side that lip. Nice, I'm not being too shy with this. Nice plentiful amount all the way around with no gaps. It's just the top lip that needs it. You don't have to, smear it above or below this cut. Just as long as it's all nice up in that edge and in contact with that cambium there. I'm going to pop a bit of 3mm aluminium wire just around here, just below the cut point, trying not to get the rooting hormone onto my fingers. I should really be wearing gloves for this. There we go, it doesn't have to be perfect, it's just a little bit of extra added security. To a certain extent, it also helps to kick out the callus, to spread, create that spread. Just tighten just enough to do the job that we need. This is me not getting rooting hormone on my fingers. Folks, that's as good as it's going to get. Just recently I've been having a lot of success using a pot suspended with bonsai soil inside, rather than using a bag and sphagnum like a lot of guides show. But in this, because of the awkwardness and the width and all sorts of other reasons, I am going to go with a bag this time, use some sphagnum moss in it. Also, these guys really, the Kojo-no-mai generate roots really readily, so it's not like I'm trying to get roots out of a really awkward species. I can just literally just stick a load of sphagnum around this, and I'm pretty likely to get roots on at least one of them. So you know, I don't feel the need to be too fancy this time. Just excuse me while I temporarily prop this branch out of the way, because it's getting right on my nerves, I'll tell you that. What's this? I want to give myself plenty of room to do this, so I'm not going to, I'm not going to be too stingy with the plastic here. Obviously, I don't want to go overboard because that's just going to make it harder to handle. Just have a look at this for size. Is that going to have enough room? Yeah, that's plenty. Now I've got some beautiful New Zealand sphagnum moss that I've prepared just by giving it a nice soak. Just going to squeeze the water out. I want it wet but not, don't want it dripping everywhere, but we do want it wet. Right, this is the awkward bit, so I'm going to get everything in position nicely. Try and get a nice even wrap of the moss. I want to get it all the way around the outside, and I'll need some in between the two trunks. But I might pack some in between the two trunks once I've done the outside. I'm not jamming it in too tight. I don't want it all too dense. But we do want plenty of material there to support any roots that generate. There we go. And then I'm going to come try to make sure that the bottom's fairly clear. It's going to make it a little bit easier in a minute. Okay. Get the plastic sort of roughly in the right position with a nice big skirt down the bottom, and then with some 2mm wire this is where it gets really fiddly, so take your time, don't rush, grab some popcorn, enjoy the mess that I'm about to make of this. There we go, working with my left hand here. Oh, lovely. That's worked a treat. You don't need to over tighten this. In fact, it pays you to have it quite loose. 1, because it can let water drain out. 2, because it can let air get up. And 3, is there a third reason? Oh yeah, you don't want to constrict the trunk. It's not the job of this wire. With the wire, I'm just going to gently just use it to hold this in place. I need to make sure there's not an air gap between the two trunks, otherwise we might not get roots forming in there. Pack it down between. I don't want to create like a dense, airless, I'm not trying to make peat or anything down there. I just need to make sure that it isn't just hollow air pocket. Okay, spin around. I don't want the wire to be like that. I want the wire supporting the plastic, so I'm just going to back off a little. Keep a hold of that. Having done that adjustment, I'm just going to make sure everything's okay this side. Here we've got sphagnum all around, 360 degree sphagnum in between. We're looking good. We're looking good. Just going to jab some holes in. Just going to cut some vertical-ish slits somewhere near the bottom, so that any excess water does have a route to escape if we get a load of rain or whatever, or when I water it. That layer went pretty well. Alright, Fuji Cherry updated. Wish me luck. Hit the like button because it really helps the channel out. And I'll see you Tuesday. Take care.